Welcome to Vinyl Verdict. I'm Bell.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Plouffe.
And we made it.
One whole year.
James,
Wow.
Now Jamie can't talk. Oh, I said your name. Dang it. Undid it right away. Yeah, we've been doing this for a year, which is wild. So we're going to take this final episode to re-rank, to look back, to talk about your opinions, as I've heard a few over the years. Some good, some bad.
We got some good feedback.
We got
feedback.
We got feedback.
Yep. And we're going to make it easier for you to give feedback. You won't see it by the time this episode goes up, but we're working on a website at some point. You know, we'll have an email.
So now it has to happen.
100%.
I already said it on Twitter, too.
Yeah,
so.
and we're going to have an email that's easier to remember, so you can give us feedback if you're not on Twitter or Spotify, because on Spotify, of course, there's a Q&A box where you can leave info, but
No one has ever sent any feedback to it.
not a single
That's okay.
soul.
Yeah.
But you do rate our polls. It's fun
Yeah.
seeing what your vinyl verdicts are. I can't go through every episode and give you the numbers y'all vote, but it's interesting to see. Sometimes my heart breaks. I'll have an album I really like, and it's like 1 to 3.
Someone really hated. I forget what album it was. It was like maybe 3 or 4 albums ago, and it was like, "What's your vinyl verdict?" And it was like 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10, and I'm like, "Oh." And then one of them was like 1 to 3.
Oh, wow. Correct.
Someone really didn't like this album.
Yo, that's like every album I pick.
It wasn't even yours.
Hey.
No, it's probably mine. I feel like mine are pretty divisive.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was
don't know the word.
Woodkid. And I was like, wow.
Woodkid, I'd believe. But it's crazy. In my list, I have 46 rankings because I didn't do topics. Again, if you want to know my topics, I'm actually going to add them when we have the website so you can see. I'll be reviewing topics in the future. But 46 albums. It was a pretty diverse set of music.
Yeah.
And I liked a good chunk of it.
Me too.
I have a stink number where if it's underneath this, it was a bad album, like just straight up bad. But most of them, pretty darn good. And it was hard to rank. Like going through to say like, oh, I want to re-rank this. I was like, I think Toxicity is too low after listening to Rage Against the Machine. I should raise it. But I go, no. Even though it's in like the 18th spot, everything above it is
Super
so good. Oh, American Idiot. That album's like
It's
pretty bad. Oh, there's so much good above it, and there's also a lot below it. So, like, crazy to think about. Thank you to all of our guests that have come on so far.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks to all our guests.
Crazy. Next year, we have even bigger guest plan.
Well,
I don't think so.
I tried to go and like re-rate stuff. I looked through like every album we've done, and aside from topics, and I don't know. I like the ratings I gave to everything. I think the only thing I opened was "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd to make sure I gave it a 10, and I did. So whatever. So I thought I'd have this whole thing where I'm like, oh yeah, this was like an 8, and I should be more like a 7, but I didn't really do that for any of them. I'm actually pretty happy with how I rated basically every album.
There were so many where I'd like listen to it more afterwards. Because, like, again, when you're listening to it analytically, it's different from listening for pleasure.
It's not
so I'd like
the same.
listen to it afterwards and be like, well, actually, this isn't that bad, or I'm listening to this a lot more, or now I kind of get this song now that I'm in a different emotion or whatever.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm gonna actually, Jamie, why don't you tell me your experience going through all of your albums before I get started right
It was
away?
painful. Okay, so not because we
painful?
picked bad albums or whatever, or this season was like
Aside
particularly
from maybe 1 or 2 each. More for me, maybe.
No, it wasn't even that. It was just like because Bell does this smart and writes down the rankings. I had to go back through and listen to like the last 5 minutes of every podcast, and I just gave up. So, but I did make a list of all of them, and I think my experience with a lot of the albums, because we were not forced, but we had to listen to them. And listen to them not for because I wanted to listen to an album, but listen because we had to listen to an album. I think there's a couple albums that I was a little unfair on.
Oh, like really?
Like I don't think I was as fair on Swimming in Circles as I probably would have been had I just put it on.
I thought about that. I still don't like that album.
I think one of the things, especially like what Jamie's saying here, is having to listen to it, is that it is 2 albums. Like it's very long.
That's fair.
So
if
you
I was
already weren't
listening,
super stoked, and then you had to listen to like 2 hours of it.
Yeah, fair. That's
Or an hour and a half,
fair.
whatever
If
it
I
is.
listen to just Circles or Swimming, I might like either of those albums a bit more than Swimming in Circles together. But I'm rating Swimming in Circles together.
Yeah.
But as the package.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm pretty sure I said it was a cool package.
I won't be here
It was a
defending
cool
every one of
package.
my
No.
choices, I promise.
It was a cool package, and I can respect that. That's why I got like a 6 or 7 instead of a lower score. Or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like having to listen to all 2 hours of it at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
that's a little much. I probably wouldn't do that with even an album I enjoyed. Or like an album I really love. Like when I listen to Live at Leeds, I don't go, oh, okay, I'm gonna strap myself into this chair and
Yeah.
listen to all 3 hours of this album.
Here's Tommy.
Yeah, and like I usually skip that LP
Yeah.
entirely. Because I don't like it very much.
I mean, it's a better part, but
Well,
I don't know. It depends on what you like. For some of the shorter albums, like for example, like working with the Miles Davis Quintet, I'll put that album on.
yeah, it's a great listening album.
Yeah, I just put it on, except for the weird jarring thing between "It Never Entered My Mind" and then whatever the
Right.
second song is called. But like I'll put all of Eliminator on, maybe. But the front half of that album is so good that maybe I'll only listen to the first side.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if it affects you too, because I feel like you guys have been in the record game for longer, but this kind of changed. This year has changed how I listen to music. I don't feel like I listen to a whole lot of music or like new music on just shuffle or playlist
Sure.
or whatever like that. A lot of the time now I'm listening to albums that we've chosen, and I'm listening to whole albums just start to finish now. It's like I'm used to it from doing this, that I'm like, oh yeah, like I like this artist or whatever, and then I'll like listen to the whole album, or I'm looking at new releases to purposely go through
You're
artists.
not
I already
just
like.
listening to what was the radio hit or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I used to do a lot. I would just like put on the For You
Really?
playlist and like
Yeah.
listen to that. Versus now I'm listen to, I mean, a lot of these albums, but a lot of albums in total just start to finish and enjoying that. I feel like it's easier for me because I don't have to like or dislike a song. I could just like put on an album and enjoy it start to finish, even if I don't like a song or two. I'll
like-
kind of get something consistent.
I like the journey
Yeah.
of listening to an album front to back, and I've always kind of been like that, but I think it's because I started with CDs. And while you can skip songs and whatever here and there, you'd usually listen to the whole thing front to back.
I wouldn't always.
No, but for the most part, whereas like once MP3 players came out,
Yeah.
that's when you really started getting
Get
a lot
picky
more
and
like
choosy.
playlists and
Yeah.
stuff, especially because you can only fit like 50 songs in the early days of MP3 players.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to choose 50 songs you like.
My original MP3 player only holds 12 songs.
Right?
At
Yeah.
128 kilobits.
Yeah, I remember when it was crazy when I could fit more than like 30 songs on a little device. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, check this out. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And then pirating
it-
kind of took off around the same time. So
It sure did. Yeah.
yeah.
I think one of my like the most joyous part of doing this podcast is when I introduce an album from an artist that neither of you have listened to
Yeah.
or listened to well, and then you both like it.
Yeah.
And then the flip side is also true. It's like when I introduce an album that I'm really fond of and you guys just shit all over it.
Oh yeah, that happens to me.
It's one of those. But like I think one of the best experiences this season was when Bell inexplicably really liked the Ziggy Stardust album.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's explicable. It's a great album.
That one surprised
Well,
me.
it reminds
too.
me.
That was a weird one.
So my top 10, 2 picks are Jamie's and 8 are mine.
Yeah.
There are no Plouffe picks.
Yep.
The bottom 10, surprisingly, 5 are Jamie picks, 4 are Plouffe picks, and 1 is an Adam Sondergaard guest pick
Good old
of Dope
Smoker.
Smoker by Sleep because that album stinks. But I find it interesting. I was like so sure after me being on Plouffe so much that your picks would all be the bottom ones. But
Yeah.
Jamie squeezed you out because Exile on Main Street, Every Pixel Tells a Story,
Yep.
and Survive.
I liked Survive.
Survive was a joke pick though. Like I don't
Wow.
even like that
I never
album.
said it was an honest pick.
Yeah.
I liked a bunch of Survive. It had like 3 really good tracks.
So
and then the
Survive
rest
was the
filler.
first one that I moved. That was a re-review for me.
Really?
I moved it from the 42nd spot to the second last spot at 46. Or I guess 45th. It has
not
way
that-
too many songs.
Yeah, that's fine.
And they're very boring.
I bought
it has
it mostly
3
'cause
good
it's
tracks.
funny.
It
Yeah.
has 3 good tracks.
I was like, you know what? Every Pixar Tells a Story and Exile on Main Street were pretty darn low. But I was like, they do have a couple songs that are pretty decent.
Sweet Virginia.
And I listened to rappers or Rejoice rappers rapping it. I'm like, maybe I can boost that one. And the only thing I could do is go, I guess it's better than Survive.
Yeah.
I guess it's better than Space Wave.
I thought rappers are rapping again. I gave it a little bit of an unfair shake. I still don't enjoy it, but I
Sure.
don't hate it as much as I did when we reviewed it.
Yeah, I
The
like
same-
it.
It's the same story with Aesop Rock. Like I don't.
Oh yeah, I love
I'm,
that.
I'm not in the mood to listen to that, but I don't hate it.
Yeah.
And I think I was a little unfair on the Beths.
Yeah,
but
so
not
the Beths,
too unfair.
The Beths is actually the band that inspired this because I was so certain that I wanted to re-review it. I was like, we were always crapping on it. Jamie, even like outside of the podcast, will crap on the Beths.
I love that album,
but
too.
I have a story to tell. So
Wow.
a little while after we recorded that episode, Plouffe had me and some other friends over to listen to music and hang out, and he put on that album and told everyone that Jamie and I hated it and made everyone listen to it and give me a hard time saying it wasn't that bad. And I'm not sure if he gaslit me, but I would agree with you when Jamie would be crapping on it. I was like, yeah, you know, it's not that bad. And then I went back to listen to it to prep and get ready to move this, and I still don't like it.
That's fine.
I bumped it from the 34th spot to the 33rd spot. So it switched places with Mars Volta because I was like, you know what, that album's
Oh,
kinda
that
whatever.
album stinks.
That's
So
fair.
it went up a spot, but I was just like, man, you really got me all gaslit being like, that album doesn't stink. And I listened back, I'm like, well,
Part of it's
kind of.
a time and place, though, right? Like some albums are just good with like a crowd, and some aren't. Part of it's I've seen that band live, and so I really enjoyed the live presence of it. I did the same thing with Jazz Spastics. I played that album first, I think, even,
Yeah.
and that was another one that I was.
You really just pulled up all
Oh,
of the
yeah.
ones that we
Just
reviewed
two.
and
It
like,
was
oh,
only-
this guy,
it
look,
was
these
only
guys don't
those
like
two.
any of my music. Listen, isn't this great? And everyone's like,
No,
yeah,
that-
yeah, buddy.
That was a Poo Poo Doo Doo album.
Nah, people
Jazz
people
yeah.
love the Jazz
Oh
Spastics.
god.
Just not the name.
Yeah, maybe not the
Um,
name. I love that album though.
Shout out to them for retweeting
The
us.
Beth. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, them and Skin Shape were the two bands that reached out.
I hated it because it's like the two that I was like, I don't really
Skin
like.
Shape's
this
fine.
album.
It's
Like,
fine.
oh.
It's whatever.
I try to pick.
The Beths is not that bad.
I try to pick some new artists as well, or newer, because I like a lot of old music, but I like a lot of like new music too, and especially people I've seen live recently. I tried to pick a lot of those bands, so I think that was my biggest challenge. Was I ended up choosing more contemporary stuff, or like of today, and of the time than what I have in my collection, which is like a lot of really good classic albums. And so I think that's what I'm probably going to do more next year is pick not stuff like, oh, you know, this is a band that I like that's new and I've listened to it over the last couple of years. I'm going to pick like Battle of LA, like I just picked for the final episode that we had last time was I'll pick old favorites more than I will new favorites. I
It hasn't
guess.
worked out for me. I'll tell you that much.
Well, we'll see. Yeah.
Speaking of these kind of old favorites, I feel like that was what you thought of Steve Hyatt because that's who I want to talk about next.
Oh, that's not an old favorite. I've only known about that album for the like
Perfect.
4
Then
or
I'm
5
all
years.
on board with you getting on old classics.
that's a
'cause
new listen.
Listening to Steve Hyatt, going back after listening to Skin Shape, I was like, okay, that was pretty good. I went back to listen to Steve Hyatt, and I was like, man, this blows.
Oh, I love that
Every
album.
time I go to listen to that album, I get bored or I get to a song with lyrics and I turn it off.
yeah, his covers of famous songs are not very good.
Yeah, at the
The album
time,
is fine. Like it's okay.
Yeah, it's good background noise.
yeah, at the
I think
time
it's
it
good
was
background
a
music.
bit novel for me. But then, like having listened to more ambient works and even more city pop,
Yeah.
it just didn't hit the same for me. So I moved it down from the 31st spot to the 39th.
Oh, it's not as good as regular city pop though.
No, oh
I
no,
fully agree.
yeah, 100% no.
Yeah, I fully
did
agree
not
with
like
that.
it at all.
I like. I do actually really like some of his covers though, like the Rollover Beethoven, like how it's all
God,
like
that's
in the
what I think about
background and
being
stuff.
bad.
I know
That's
you guys
poo-poo-doo-doo,
hate
yeah.
it. It's fine. That's the thing though, is I actually really like how different all of our tastes are because every now and then there'll be an album that like Jamie loves and we both hate. Or you love it and me and Jamie both don't like it, or I love it and you guys both hate it. But then there's also times
That's
where
the
like
possible combinations.
Yeah.
right? That's all. But then there's also times where we all really like the album, or like one person surprisingly doesn't like it, or whatever. So we, it's not like we're just going into this every week and it's like that was a good album. Let's pick another album. You know?
Yeah, it's not like we're picking we're picking the Beatles' Abbey Road,
Yeah.
a universally
The
acclaimed album.
the White Album.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It's like, oh boy, do you like the Beatles? They put out a great album. To be clear, Abbey Road is a great album. I have nothing
Yeah,
against
we're
it.
not saying the Beatles are bad.
Well, like the Beatles, we got better with age.
yeah.
Jamie, what was the experience going back and listening to those first episodes again?
They're awful. I'm sorry, you have to listen to them.
Yeah, our sound quality was real bad,
The first 9 episodes are awful.
and
to
my
listen
editing
to.
was not great. We didn't really have a tone or plan.
There's cursing and there's random stories. Like the Crime of the Century is 95% a story about me going to a pool hall.
I mean, I kind of like
I
the random
believe that,
stories.
you know?
I kind of like the random stories. That's the only thing I really like about podcasts is when people start talking about random experiences and stuff. But
Like-
maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I didn't get to the point fast enough on that. And then also
There are many times where it's just me dead silent for like half an hour, and I'm like, anyways, the next song.
I think another thing I did wrong was that in like our first 8 episodes I picked an album that I didn't like because Bell
Why would
did
you
that.
do that? Why would you
Well,
do
Bell
that?
did that for their first album.
Yes.
Like he picked the Now, which is an awful album.
Well, listen, I'm going to talk about that one later.
Okay.
But
Bell's ranking it a
it was
little
an
higher.
interesting choice. It was an interesting choice of a first episode.
Didn't you just choose it because it was new though? Because you were gonna.
No, it's not even
Oh.
their
It's
newest
the
album.
it's the Lost Gorillaz album. That's why I chose it. 'cause
That's
like,
what the
no one's
title
heard of
is.
it.
Yeah.
Secret lore. We were originally gonna start with Back to Black.
I'll choose that next season.
Oh right. Oh yeah, there's another hidden episode. I made notes for it.
Which
the
one?
the Jesus is King album.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
for
yes.
the topic canceled artists.
That was another one that was
But I
selected.
chose Kitsy Ghost because I thought it was a better album
It is a
after they'd
better
already
album.
taken notes.
Yes, I had to listen to 2 Kanye albums that I didn't like.
That
although
one I won't
Kid See
pick
Ghost
next
is
season.
a lot better.
I won't pick that one next season. But Back to Black we will. We wanted to make it for the anniversary, 10-year anniversary,
Yeah,
15-year
something like that.
anniversary
Something
of her
like
that.
passing.
Yeah, and we missed
But
it.
we started recording too late because we were going to start actually early 2020 or late 2021, and then we didn't end up recording until 2022.
Right? Yeah.
So I was
Something
like,
like
oh
that,
well,
yeah.
because
It was a
of
good
that,
album.
I'm going to choose something different.
And
So I
yeah, and
ended up
then,
choosing Gorillaz.
then we started recording, and then we didn't put out an album or an episode until June. Or
Yeah, we got a
something
big
like that.
backlog just in case, which is good because we needed
It
it.
worked out in our
Yeah,
favor.
we've used
yeah.
it a couple
You know,
times.
winners and wanted to see family. I don't know, weird,
Yeah, why
cringy
would
stuff
you
like
wanna
that.
do
But yeah, going back, it's definitely interesting. I'm glad we sound better. I'm glad you stuck around if you're somebody who's come for a guest episode or something like that and clicked on those first few episodes and we're like, ooh.
Yeah, like engagement has been good all year, but I think after we improved the audio with the help of our friend
Yes.
David.
Shout out David. I was just thinking
Yeah,
that.
David did good work balancing
At
this
the
stuff,
chosen
and,
David.
and he did it
Well, no free
some
clout.
EQ work
No,
or
no,
whatever.
he gets it for this. He did this all
Bleep that, bleep, bleep,
pro
bleep.
bono. He just came
Delete
over
that,
one
yeah.
day after work and helped us.
Yeah, we
get
didn't even
everything
pay him
a
or
little
anything.
crispier. Yeah.
Whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa. We paid him in friendship.
In friendship, yeah,
Friendship
in
we made
clout,
along the
yeah.
way.
Would you like to be paid in clout?
Exposure.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of interesting albums of varied genres, which I
Yeah.
think is like what genre is Woodkid? Is it technically progressive rock or symphonic rock? I don't know.
Oh, wasn't that weird term that was like Baroque rock?
Oh yeah.
Some- Something weird like that.
Yeah.
Baroque pop?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. But inexplicably, or maybe we just discovered that Bell really likes progressive rock. Many of the albums that I picked happen to be progressive rock, and Bell really likes those.
I don't even know what that means.
Prog rock,
Supertramp, Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
I don't
what was
even
the
know
other
how
one?
much I'd
Do we pick
list
another one?
Pink
Did we
Floyd
pick
is
another
like prog rock. I guess it depends on the album.
Whatever
It-
Ziggy Stardust is. And
Is
Wish You
that
Were Here.
technically progressive rock, Ziggy? Oh, it's just rock, I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard.
At
it's
the
hard.
time, it was pop.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah, it's
weird,
weird, right?
genres and stuff with music, especially these
Power
days.
pop was a genre
Power
back then.
pop.
Power pop was like loud rock music, but with like poppy lyrics.
Oh yeah.
A good example is the band The Raspberries.
Oh,
They're like
classic.
whatever.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun listening to new music, particularly albums like Slide,
Yeah, oh my God.
The
Such a good
Mollusk,
album. Yeah.
and Tiger Army. I really enjoyed.
It's
listening to
interesting. I think I gave Slide a good rating when we did the episode. I rank it a little lower, but I think
Oh,
it
yeah?
has to do with mood. Like I think depending on my mood, I would like that album more or less.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that definitely is still pretty unique from what we've listened to.
Mm-hmm.
I actually showed it to a friend of the podcast, Jonathan Horst, and he became a huge fan right away. He's like, this is literally everything I've been looking
Yep.
for, and
Yeah.
I'm mad that I'm only finding him now and that you showed me because now you get credit for it. I was like, oh. And we have tickets to go see him, and he's like, I'm coming too. I'm like, oh, cool.
Okay.
Nice.
So it's interesting
that's a
when
good
it
Horst
resonates with
impression,
people. Yeah.
I'm
My
gonna
name's Jonathan Horst, and I love George Clanton.
welcome back to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have a revision close to George Clanton. And also, the episode I get the most comments about from listeners, friends of the podcast, In Rainbows by Radiohead.
Oh, really?
So people would come up to me all the time being like, you guys just didn't get it. I'm like, I got even like number 6. What do you mean I didn't get it? They're like, the songs you said you didn't like you just didn't get it. And you know what? I kind of agree. Listening back, there were a few that I was like, I listened to the episode, I'm like, I can't believe I didn't like it. Like, these are songs I actually listen to on repeat now. And the week after I listened, I was still listening to the album on repeat, like pretty darn consistently. I'm going to move it from the 6th spot to the 4th spot, just under Slide, because I still prefer Slide.
God,
Swimming in Circles is still a better package, and Ziggy Stardust is just perfect. I mean, it's a perfect album.
I still can't stand In Rainbow. I just don't like
Really?
Radiohead.
I don't like Radiohead.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
so
like
good.
Radiohead. I
like
never
Radiohead.
have. I don't think I'll ever get into them. I tried an album front to back, and it just still really wasn't for me.
Did you listen to the Super Mario 64 sound font one?
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, that's what you're missing.
Sure, that's the
I
one
just-
thing. I listen to that, and then the rest of it just
Yeah.
clicks, right? And
You'll
then I'm like,
get
oh
it.
yeah, okay,
I
computer.
just don't
and-
like Radiohead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm,
no,
I'm
it's
sorry,
so good.
sorry, dear listener. I do not like Radiohead.
I even got chirped about it when we went to Vegas for CES. I was in the van with like you and James or something, and then he's like, "Yeah, you guys didn't like Radiohead." I was like, "Yeah, I just don't like it."
Yeah.
Even the driver piped up. It's like, "How can you not like Radiohead?"
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, it's probably the album, other than Slide, this is the album, well, I guess, other than Ziggy Stardust as well. I've listened to this album a lot, is what I'm trying to say, since we've reviewed it. Like, my goodness, it really reminded me how much I liked this in middle school. And
Sure.
I've been listening to like nonstop. And
How many times have you listened to Peter Gabriel's
Sledgehammer.
Not enough.
Yeah, that sounds
Not enough.
Never
That song
enough.
is so good.
Sledgehammer.
So good. He's made out of fruit in that
Those
video.
all those singles are really good. That was a really good episode.
That
I
was
didn't listen to
that was tight. Yeah,
that was a good
What a
episode.
diverse set of music.
Yeah, totally different.
Flamingos, Fire.
great.
That was Love Trip, right?
I think that was Love
Yeah.
Trip.
Yeah,
Love
like
Trip's so
wow,
good.
what a collection of songs.
So it was good. Sometimes we all just like it, and it's fine that that's not always the case.
Let's go back to one where it's not the case. I was putting furniture together when I listened to the Growlers,
Oh,
and I rated it okay.
you hate it now?
But I went back and I was like, do I still think the Growlers is okay? The Growlers is fine, but I'm going to rank it lower than I did. I don't remember what the ranking was, but it's lower.
What's the new one? Like a 6 out of 13?
It's like a 5 or
It's funny, the
5 and a
Growlers
half.
kept popping out on my list too. I'm like, do they believe? Like, should they belong there? And I was like, oh man, like
They're
I
like, it's
guess
fine.
It is.
Yeah, it is fine.
Sure.
What is it? Beach goth? What do they call their
Yeah,
music?
Beach Goth. Yeah. Yeah, I dig it.
I didn't like the one song I really didn't like is the one where he's just like, oh, like a good strong woman's got huge legs, or something like big thick legs. And I was like, oh, that's true. That's just whole lot of Rosie.
Well, what do you think the most middle of the ground episode was for you? Just like it doesn't really stand out as really good or really bad, because I was surprised when I went to the middle song in my list, or middle album.
Eliminator. That's the most middle of the road album we've covered.
I'm gonna.
No, Eliminator was lower. It was actually, it's very close. It's 2 spots away.
Yeah, see?
American Idiot by Green Day.
Oh, yeah,
got
that's-
the
that's
middle
almost average.
spot.
I wrote
it's the one
notes.
that I loved as a teenager and did not like as an adult, so it gets middle of the ground.
It's so weird because it's weird to consider this, but it's dad rock now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Green Day is
definitely is.
dad rock now.
Well, it's absolutely middle of the ground, and I feel like that makes sense. It had some good songs, kind of still, but most did not age well.
No.
I've also brought it up several times throughout the episode since then, where it's like,
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of Green Day. And y'all will be like, what? What? Actually,
Well,
I think it was
you
in the
mean that
Billy
it's
Joel
bad.
episode. Because I was like, it's telling a story and has multiple parts that were all one song. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, like Homecoming or like Jesus Suburbia.
Boulevard
man.
of Broken Dreams.
My middle of the road episode's probably Leanne LaHavas.
Oh, really?
I like it, but it's just I rate a lot of albums that we listen to between like a 7 or an 8,
Yeah.
and I think that was like just another solid 7 to me.
You made a remark on the last episode that, Jamie, a lot of your albums are like 7 out of 13. And it's like, well,
Yeah, I do the same thing with
Yeah, you
7. I rate a little high. I rate a little higher though, technically.
yeah,
'Cause
you know
it's
what?
a
Okay,
10.
I was talking to you guys about this at work earlier about how we didn't really have a good, and this is something we're going to work on for the second season, I think, is that we didn't really have a rating convention for like the first 12 episodes. Like Plouffe rates it out of 13 for a while.
Like
and then
3 episodes.
some-
Yeah. And then I'm like, this is dumb.
Yeah, and then yeah, but now your rankings for those like episodes are useless.
Sure.
And then one episode, what did I rate it out of? I rated it out of
2 hockey sticks. Out
6
of
bicycles out of a toupee.
Yeah.
That was crime of the century. That's
Classic
actually a
Jamie.
9.5 out of 13. So I think we're gonna take it a little bit more. I'm gonna take it a little bit more seriously this year.
I'm gonna be even more serious in my dedicated list.
I'm probably going to continue to rate out of 10, but I will try to keep a more objective list like Bell is doing. You've probably chosen the
making a
best
list
way
is
to do it
probably
and rating them
smart.
all in a ranking system. And then
This is a totally unique idea as well. No one's
yeah.
ever done a ranking like
No
this.
one's done
Oh,
it
you mean
before.
like Top Gear?
Never heard of it.
Yeah,
I do like Friends, though. Is that guy Joey in that show?
Definitely,
the new ones. Yeah.
I do like that you're resetting it for
Yeah.
the second
Yeah, this
season
list is
too.
getting
I think that's a
long.
good idea.
So we'll
Top
have
Gear
a
did
reset
it
list.
first. Simpsons did it first too.
Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it.
Well, back into the first episode here, the Now by the Gorillas.
Please don't.
You know, it was an interesting choice,
No, it wasn't.
especially to start with one giving a bad review. But I think looking back on that album now, it's not as bad as I originally thought compared to some of the other albums. I feel like it was easy just to keep dunking on it.
The problem
When
is,
we're
it's like
reviewing.
the worst Gorillaz album.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's still better than.
I
And then
don't- I know.
Damon Albarn went after that. Who did we go after? Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Like right
Well-
after we put that out.
Yeah, but Taylor
She
Swift
deserved
has
it.
some issues of her own.
My issue
so-
was I went and I looked at the list. I'm like, how was Paul's Boutique above the Now? The Now is just bland. That's
sure.
actually probably the most middle of the road, like bland. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even think about it album.
Yeah.
Sure.
I disliked Paul's Boutique. So
Yeah.
it's like, it can't be below that. So I would move Gorillaz up from 41 to 35.
Sure.
So it's slightly higher, but still like in the lower part of this, this ranking.
I mostly dunked on it because it was like, there's
I
so
like
many
how-
better Gorillaz albums. Why would you ever listen to this?
Yeah.
I like
you
how
shouldn't.
I picked a Beastie Boys album. You've reviewed it so poorly that you can't pick another Beastie Boys album for some time now.
Yeah, I know.
I
As
took
much
that-
as I'd
I
love
took that
to do
from
Hello
you.
Nasty.
I took that from you.
I cannot.
You can't have it.
I mean, that's fair. I've probably only listened to Hello Nasty once.
yeah. Hello Nasty's a
Fake
great
fan.
album though.
Yeah, I have it on. I got it from the Pop Museum. Great album
Cool.
Pop Museum. Oh right.
in Seattle.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Please, do you
forgot
have a top list?
I don't have a top list, but I did choose my favorite albums that we listened to. So the favorite album that that we listened to is Pink Floyd "Wish You Were Here," but I've been listening to that since I was like a teenager.
Very good album.
So I also chose my favorite albums that I'd never heard before, and I don't know if this will surprise you guys, but I actually chose "Control" by SZA.
Wow.
Interesting.
For all the new, I went and looked through them all, and I'm like, this is the one that's new that I like actively really enjoyed this. Aside from that second track, I don't. I still wish it was stricken from the album, but the rest of it is really good. It's super well produced. It's interesting as well. She has a good voice that's also interesting, and I really liked Control, and I like SZA. She's pretty good. So
in the same vein, I really liked MGMT's Little Dark Age.
Me too. I wish I could put that higher. That's such a good album.
that was my second pick. I had to choose. I had to stop and think about that because I really like that one as well.
Me as well.
I
Yeah.
never actively listened to MGMT until that, and I really like. I even put "She Works Out Too Much" on my houseboat party list.
Oh, that's good.
that
That's
song
good.
is
She works
rock.
out too
Yeah.
much. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
MGMT, somewhat more fun if you don't listen to their most popular song, like "Kids."
Yeah.
I like this album somehow more than Oracular Spectacular.
More than just Kids.
Yeah.
What about you? Any standout albums, Jamie?
Standout albums. Okay, from you, it would probably be MGMT. Now, from Plouffe, that's a tougher one because I don't really like anything Plouffe likes.
Hell yeah. Which is weird because we do share a lot of common music interests. I just didn't pick
don't-
anything.
Toxicity?
Probably.
I like that album.
That's my highest Plouffe pick, and that's at the 18th spot.
Yeah, it's a good album.
What was an album that we covered in like a topic from you?
Oh yeah, I've picked some good albums for topics.
Oh, the live album one. That was Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that
Oh,
one.
it's fantastic.
It's a banger.
I like that one more than Nirvana Live and Unplugged.
Yes, I will agree
You
with
know
you.
what? I went back. I was gonna pick Nirvana for the birth years one because that album came out my birth year.
Oh, it's fantastic.
But I didn't pick it because I was like, I actually don't really like this album, and I don't want to talk about the fact I don't like this like legendary album.
Really?
It's fine. It's not
It's
their best
fine.
live album.
Yeah, It's just fine.
Oh, but
so I was
then
like, I don't want
it's
to talk
got
about that
songs
and
like
get
Man
flamed.
Who Sold the World.
That's
is
why
such
I
a
didn't
good
choose
cover.
it. That's exactly what I choose. I'm like, I'm gonna get flamed for not really
And Lake
enjoying
of
it that much.
Fire. It's got the Lake of Fire cover. Oh,
This is
man.
the Meat
I've
Puppets?
seen the Meat Puppets.
Yeah, the Meat Puppets are
it's
pretty
so
good.
So funny.
Yeah, I don't know. Standout albums from myself. This is okay. Get ready to give me a pat on the back, myself. So my top 5 from season 1 in general. Working with the Miles Davis Quintet,
Yeah,
I
that's a
apparently
good-
gave that 12 out of 13.
That was a good album.
Great album.
Exile, I gave 12 out of 13.
Terrible
as well.
album.
Sucks. Awful.
Awful.
Bottom 5.
It's okay. You guys are allowed to be wrong. Of course, Live at Leeds, I gave 10. Crime of the Century, I gave a 9.5.
Okay.
I think I gave Wish You Were Here a 10 or
It's
11.
Yeah, it was
it's a
definitely
perfect
up there.
album. God,
It's
I
a
love
good
that one.
album. Ziggy Stardust, I think I gave a 10 as well, too.
Out of 13.
Yeah. They're all great albums. Sometimes it's weird to be like, I really like the album that I picked, but I picked them for a reason.
That's what I
didn't-
felt too. Looking at my list,
Yeah.
I was like, damn, it's
I
mostly
really like
just
me.
Yeah.
I really like me.
I have
I'm
a great
good.
taste of music. It's
Go
all the ones
me.
I picked.
Yeah.
My least favorite album that wasn't from a topic was actually American Idiot. I think
That's your least
actively
favorite?
despise-
I
them,
hate that
though.
album.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't. I think it's honestly. I'm partially biased just because it was so popular in middle school and high school that I'm so sick of it. At this point, it was literally everywhere in middle school and high school. But God, it's so boring and it's so annoying. And I don't know.
It's very preachy.
It's so
It's preachy
Just
in a
nothing.
way that Rage Against the Machine could never be that preachy.
yeah. Like it's so, but it's whiny while doing it. Like he's not even mad about stuff. He's just like, "Woe is me, my life sucks. Make it better."
Tell a story.
God,
It's
a
funny because
garbage
you
story.
like that one, but then you said on what was it, the Billy Joel album one, where you're like, I just don't like songs that tell a story.
Actually, that one was okay.
Okay.
That one was okay for telling a story. I just didn't like how he talked about women so much. 'Cause
Oh,
every song
fair
was
enough.
like,
Yeah,
please sleep
rock
with me.
music in general, love.
Yeah,
women.
it's kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like
It's just of the times, and like
Yeah,
that's not
extremely.
the era I was raised on. So like for me, like
Yeah.
going back to it. Which, speaking of my bottom 10, starts with Boston by Boston.
Oh, I still don't understand how you hate that album so much.
that
It's so
album's
good.
so good.
That's a
so
10
good.
spot. Then Paul's Boutique by Beastie Boys.
Sure.
Then Down the Road by the Beach by Steve Hyatt.
Sure.
Then Nico, Blind Melon.
Sure.
That album
Scratch
sucks.
and Sniff
That
by
sucks.
Jazz Spastics.
Oh, I don't
Exile
agree
on
with
Main
that
Street
one.
by the Rolling Stones.
Great album.
Every Picture Tells a Story by Rod Stewart.
That album sucks. I didn't really like that
Rejoice, Rappers Rapping Again by Gift of Gab.
Sure.
Survive by M&Q 026. And then the last worst album
No,
is Dope Smoker.
Survive is the band. MNQ 026
That's
is
the
the
album.
name of the album.
Yeah.
That's I don't even care. They're
doesn't
just so
matter,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
it
Get
doesn't
out of
matter.
here. And the last one is Dope Smoker by Sleep. That album blew.
I didn't include Dope Smoker, but Dope Smoker's probably in like top 15.
Wow.
Great album.
Top half.
I wish I had
Top
Culture.
half. Top
That's
50%.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's
There
something.
are other albums that we've covered that are as hard rock or harder
yeah, it's,
that I didn't enjoy, but
there-
there's something about Dope Smoker I
there's
like.
something rhythmic and hypnotic about Dope Smoker that I can just totally dig. But you have got to get to like, I am stupid baked right now and listening to this. But even then, I don't know. It's not for some people. I
No,
get
I
that.
don't
I
disagree
totally
with
get
that.
that it's not for a lot of people. But I like a lot of weird stuff, as is clearly evidenced by many of my picks.
Sure. I think one thing we might want to revisit next season will be some of the things we've already covered before. Like, we've already covered live albums, but I've purchased like 25 more of them. And there's a couple more that I like.
We
in
can,
addition
yeah,
to-
we can revisit topics every now and then. I definitely don't have a ton of live albums. I think I have like 3.
Yeah, I had to buy one for that episode.
And then I bought 20 more movie soundtracks.
Okay, I have some
definitely not many
soundtracks.
soundtracks.
I have some soundtracks.
We'll figure it out. We got lots
Yeah.
of topics, and you can always suggest them as well by tweeting at us, sending us a message, whatever like that. Future website, vinylverdict.com, depending on when you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Were there any surprises or like negative, maybe disappointments? Like I was pretty excited to listen to Paul's Boutique. That was a big disappointment for me.
Me too.
As well as The Mouse and the Mask by Danger Doom because of the record quality.
Okay, yes.
Like
So
that was a huge bummer.
That was disappointing to me as well because I hadn't listened to it since I'd upgraded my
Yeah.
whole setup. And now that I've upgraded everything, speakers, turntable, stylus, even the receiver I've got, everything has gotten a huge upgrade in the last like 3 years.
What a muddy sounding record.
God, it just the awful quality.
Yeah.
And it's not even like a picture disc. I don't think it's just colored record, and it sucks because I've got a couple picture discs that actually sound better than that.
Yeah. The other problem is that the lyrical content on that album is extremely dated.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as I like most
got
of
a
it still,
big grin on
because
his face.
Doom is fantastic in all the things he does, and actually like his other stuff because he's kind of reined in. Yeah, it's dated, especially a couple lines in there.
Yeah, I think that's the one I had like the highest hopes for. I was like, oh yeah. Like I really am excited to listen to this, and I was like, meh.
At some point, I'll just have to go back and choose, like, I don't know, Mad
Food?
Villain or
Yeah,
Food. Oh,
one of the
Food
topics
is-
I've written down is other albums by artists we've covered.
Yeah.
So that like I have a chance to cover Hello Nasty if I want to, or
Yeah.
whatever like
Yeah.
that. I know there was a Primus one where like, oh, we're doing Frizzle Fry, but I would have preferred XYZ or whatever.
Sure.
Like that.
I mean,
Gives a
yeah,
chance.
there's nothing to stop you from doing another Primus album.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, there
they
is.
got like 10.
Me.
So
I'll be there at the door saying, "Don't come in."
You know what's funny? I would do it back to back with you. I have a copy of Green Naga. I would, if you did a Primus album, I would pick mine for the next one.
These guys
Okay.
are going back to back.
Just make everybody listen to Primus until you guys tell us not to do it anymore.
choose the
Gonna be
greatest
me.
hits album.
It'll be the
choose,
two of you.
Gross. Don't choose the greatest hits. Oh, that's
They
an
must all be
interesting one.
singers.
I've been on the fence because I own a couple of greatest hits albums
That's
that
a
are
topic I
better
have
than.
written down too.
Yeah, it's a
is
topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that written
Best
down.
greatest hits. I'm choosing Blink-182's greatest hits.
That's a great.
Very excited
great
for
That's
that.
greatest
probably a
hits.
good choice. As much as I don't like Blink, their greatest
hits
hits
are
album
pretty
I'd probably
good. Yeah.
relatively enjoy. I'd probably be okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah, except for Adam's song. That song's too sad.
I never thought I'd die alone.
Yeah, see?
Wow.
Another disappointing one for me was Fear by Begonia. And I say that sparingly
Really?
because it was in the 6th spot. But the fact that the record played at half volume,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
still
that's
one that I don't
weird,
listen to
yeah.
very often because of that.
that's a
Yeah,
shame.
change your volume, yeah.
That's a
Because
shame.
I'll like turn it up and then turn to the TV and be like, "Oh my god, I'm deaf."
Yeah.
Because that's honestly probably could be the number 1 spot or number 2. I really love that album. I've seen her live since we've done
mix.
it,
Yeah.
and like, man, she just is such a performer. That album is not great.
It does a disservice to her.
It's like
yes,
the quality
indeed.
is good, but it's so quiet. I was like, man,
It's just
what
a poor
bummer.
transfer.
Yeah.
I don't know if we ended up doing a episode on it, but which one did you buy that was like oddly shaped or something?
Oh, that's
Frank
what I chose as,
Ocean.
my biggest purchase regret, Nostalgia
Right,
Ultra by
right.
Frank Ocean because
It's
it's egg-shaped
egg-shaped.
and does not
Right.
fit my record player.
It's
Yeah.
it is the Eggman.
We will choose Blonde by Frank Ocean sometime next season. I do have Channel Orange as well now, but both of them play.
Sure.
Both of them play, and that's great. Very sad Nostalgia Ultra does not, because I think it's a very good time capsule for like 2008 with its references to Coldplay and Street Fighter and all these other songs.
Man, I
and,
hate Coldplay. Oh
MGMT.
my god, please don't pick a Coldplay album.
I'm gonna pick Parachutes by Coldplay at one point because that's a great album.
Dumb sucks.
Well, I know what I'm choosing as my second episode of 20.
It's okay.
yeah,
Me and
next
Jamie will
season.
both hate on it together.
Wow. Okay.
Hey,
This guy hates Yellow by Coldplay.
Now
I
you
don't
know
like that.
how
I didn't
feel.
like that song when it came out. I went to
What a
school.
hipster.
I went to high school with a guy who was really into it, and
name's
he
Chris.
swore up and down that Coldplay was Christian rock, and I was like,
What?
I don't think they are. Like, I don't
that's
even
why
think
my
a little
mom
bit.
lets me listen to
I'm
them.
feeling God in this Chili's.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not getting the 1,000-foot crutch vibe off these guys, right? Like, I'm not getting.
With arms wide open.
That's Creed.
I
for
know,
sure, yeah.
I know. But Creed's Christian rock.
Is it though?
Pretty sure Creed's Christian rock.
I think
yeah.
they've tried to ride that one a couple of times, but I don't know if they are or not. They're not Reliant K or somebody.
Sure, yeah.
To give a little teaser for next season, are there any albums that you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick? Any that you want to leak?
Ooh, it's tough because I want to choose a Chili Peppers album, but they're kind of controversial. So it's
Let me choose them before they're more controversial.
when they're even more controversial.
Before
one of the
them.
they're always Look at like even Freaky Styley. They did some awful stuff around then.
What is that?
They were.
That's like their first album.
They were.
Awful name.
It's with Himmel. Or Hillel. I can never remember the original.
Jimmy Kimmel?
No.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, the
Famous
original
Red Hot Chili
guitarist
Peppers
who
guitar.
died, and then they got John Frusciante, and then the band really took off.
That would suck.
Also, Royal Blood. I'm gonna choose. I have like all 3 Royal Blood albums, so I'm gonna choose one of those at some point too. Those are like guaranteed. But that's all I mean, I made a list forever ago, and I'm just kind of slowly chipping away at it.
People said we didn't cover jazz properly, so I'm going to pick another jazz album.
Wow. Okay.
That's probably fair.
Offensive.
I don't know enough music theory to like really
Yeah,
appreciate
what do they want us to say?
jazz more than I did already.
Okie.
friend of the podcast and former guest, Adam Sondergaard,
Yeah.
took
Wow.
a class.
He was
Opinionated.
upset.
Took
Yeah.
a class
He was
in
upset.
jazz.
You know what?
music.
Tell him to pick a jazz song album and come on as a
Anyway,
guest
I
again.
want to talk about a Dave Brubeck album.
Yeah.
He's also one that gave
So-
us a hard time about In Rainbows.
Yeah, he was
Did he?
like,
I
it's
hate
called
that
a
album.
jazz. What?
I hope
He's
he
listening to
listens
this episode.
There
you know
was
what, Adam?
something-
Keep your thoughts. No, I'm just kidding.
There was
Keep going.
something we
Keep your
did where
name-
we couldn't figure out what it was called, and he's like, "It's called a jazz standard, you guys. Come on." I'm like, okay,
Classic.
thanks, Adam. I'll keep that. I'll remember.
Let's keep
I'll remember
trashing
that
him
for
while
next
he's
time.
listening. He's there with his head down.
Yeah, what a brown noser.
Yeah, I can't
Hope
wait
you're
to talk
listening.
about George by Costanza, my Seinfeld.
That's a cool album.
Seinfeld
I
album.
like
Fun.
that one.
That'll be a good one. I want to talk about local bands as well. That'll probably I'm
Sure.
going to pitch as a topic at some point.
Yeah, I have a Mother record.
Oh, Mother's so good.
Well,
I own
I think they're kinda
Foot
good.
and Mouth Disease by Gob.
Oh yeah, Gob. They came to play Folk on the Rocks when I was like 13 or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
I only like I Hear You Calling. All the other ones are terrible.
Sure.
No, Give Up the Grudge is okay too.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I feel like I want to try to get stuff that's more from the era y'all are choosing from, because I'm choosing a lot of modern things. But I do have like Tears for Fears and some
Oh,
other
Songs
kind
for
of-
the Big Chair. Oh, what a
and some other things that I would like to choose. Even like older Canadian bands, 5440,
Yeah.
Grapes of Wrath, stuff like that.
I
So
own like 12 Kim Mitchell albums. Maybe I'll talk about Kim Mitchell.
Wow, Kim Mitchell.
Jamie, your challenge will be to choose modern stuff.
No, it won't. 'Cause I don't know. I think as I get older, I like modern music less.
That's typical. That's very typical.
But now I'm regressing to the point where it's like, hey, have you heard this old one?
This golden oldie.
Oof. I don't know. I listen to music that I enjoy listening to now.
Weird.
I think
don't do that.
I think I'm gonna do the opposite. I've been choosing a lot of like kind of newer bands from the last 5 years or so. So I'm gonna end up choosing a lot of early 2000s, late 90s stuff, which I've done a little bit.
You know what? I would love to get more from that era.
Really? Yeah.
Do we tease what the first episode of season 2 is?
No, whose pick is it?
Mine.
Oh,
What do you
God.
did you know? I know what you know what I actually remember
He's
what
got a
I'm going to
devilish
choose
look.
for my first pick as well.
Perfect. Jamie, if you know, you can tell. But my first pick will be another animated band. We started with the Gorillas, and now we're going to start
Prozac.
season 2
Hey,
with Prozac.
Prozac.
It's just
Canadian.
Gorillas.
We started the first season with Gorillas. We're starting the second season with Prozac.
Canadians.
A Canadian animated band, one that I grew up with.
That
I am
sucks for
very
you.
excited to talk about
Sorry,
them.
sorry. Virtual band?
I know.
They're a virtual
If
band?
you didn't know, Plouffe, that was a reference Plouffe made.
Oh, I know. It sucks to be you. Yeah.
And I'm very excited to talk about Hot
I'm a
Show.
baller, Jure.
Hot Show is a great album. Make sure to check it out before we
Okay,
talk
so
about it.
Hot Show was the first CD.
Whoa,
I
whoa,
ever
no,
bought.
no,
Yeah,
no
save it,
story.
Jamie,
Save that
save
for
it.
the.
But anyway, I'll talk about that later.
Do you have a pick for what you're
I
gonna choose
do
first?
because I asked people on my Twitter to pick which album I should curse you with.
Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer.
No, that's a great.
Sledgehammer.
I want to be.
That's not a curse.
Don't Hunger by Sleep again.
It's
I
under the
said-
name of Jerusalem because he owns that one.
Oh, I own the Jerusalem one. I asked the people on Twitter which Genesis album we should listen to, and then they came back and said I gave them three choices, and they
Don't
came
cover
back.
it. Was one of them.
No, that wasn't the choice. The choice was "Selling England by the Pound," their 1973 album.
That's a great band album name.
Yeah, and then the second choice was "The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway."
That's the worst name.
That's the last album with our friend Peter Gabriel. And
Of
then
Sledgehammer.
of Sledgehammer fame
Sledgehammer fame.
and Big Time fame. And then the last one was A Trick of the Tail, which is the first album of the Phil Collins era.
Whoa, like the do-doom, do-doom.
Yeah,
do-doom,
that
do-doom,
guy,
do-doom,
the bald
do-doom.
guy. And overwhelmingly, like 27 of the 41 votes it got.
Oh, this guy's Twitter famous.
I'm not that Twitter famous at all. 27 of the 41 votes said we should listen to The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Okay.
I regret to inform you that The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway is 97 minutes long.
Oh my
And
lord,
it's a double
Jamie.
album.
So that's your pick for long album of
Why-
the season, right off the
Right
bat.
Right off the
there
bat.
you
Well,
go.
I did it starting again with a long one.
Yes,
You know-
we do have an internal rule of one very long album per season per person.
Yeah, that was
which is My Swimming in Circles. Plouffe. What did you choose?
I
Was it a really long one?
I don't think I chose anything over like 55, 57 minutes.
I can't remember.
But
And
I
then,
did
yeah, Jamie's
choose
Live
one
at
or
Leeds.
two that were like almost an hour.
Okay, so Live at Leeds is still longer by almost 40 minutes.
I know, and was painful having to
Wasn't
listen
Rejoice really long? Rappers
No,
Rappers?
it's
to. No,
like
that's like a
40
20-minute
minutes.
album.
Yeah, I guess he raps really
that
fast.
one's short.
He gets to his
Yeah, he
words.
raps too fast to
You get
make
a
it
lot
long.
of words. Actually,
Impossible Kid,
Aesop
I think.
Rock.
That was like
Oh,
56
yeah.
minutes or something, because that's a big album. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's a long album.
Yeah.
I hope I like Genesis. I've never listened to them. Guess what?
I hope
this
I li-
season I wouldn't have heard of
Actually,
any of your albums again.
To be honest with you, I hope I like this album too because I've never listened to all of it.
Yeah, my dad.
Because it's so long.
My dad was a big Genesis fans. Like I've grown up listening
Genesis is
to it,
great.
but I've never.
What's a Genesis song that I would know?
You wouldn't
the
know
one
any of
with
them.
the doo-doo 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 doo-doo.
That's
Wait,
Phil
no, that's
Collins.
Phil Collins.
That's
Is
in
that
the internet.
only Phil Collins?
That
It's
was a
also
solo
the
album.
Jeopardy, Double Jeopardy.
Oh yeah.
Pew 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 pew. Is that that place?
Pew, pew,
Anyway.
pew, pew. What's a Genesis song that you might know? You probably don't. Like That's All, but that's from their like
Yeah, no,
Land of Confusion. That's from their '80s era.
I'm expecting to just like hear a bunch of songs and be like, oh yeah, I recognize this. I
don't-
can't list
I don't-
anything. This
I
is all
don't
stuff
think
I
I
just listened
recognize
to
any.
growing
So
up.
The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway is another album that folloes a story.
Sick.
Wow.
I love those.
Don't say any more, Jamie.
Yeah,
itching
you're
to tell
ruining
us
it. You're ruining
Cliff, what's
it.
your? You're ruining it. What's your first pick for the season?
I'm gonna choose Marcy Playground's debut album, Marcy
Is
Playground.
that the one with Sex and Candy?
That's
on
one
it?
with Sex
Marcy
and Candy
Playground?
on
Good
it.
song. They have.
What is
That's
that?
That's a good song.
Marcy Playground.
It's a '97 grunge band, kind of grunge, not really.
Hanging round
Downtown by
downtown
yourself.
by myself.
I've had too much caffeine, and I was thinking about. Anyway, yeah, it was a pretty famous song in like '97. Got played on the radio constantly.
They play it on the radio still.
It's still, yeah, it still gets played.
Oh, I feel sexy.
Candy,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. So
No, I smell sex.
a lot of I
I
smell.
eat. I eat sex.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So they're kind of written off as like a one-hit wonder band, but they have
Deservedly
like
so.
well,
They had one hit.
they've got like 3 or
I
4
wonder.
albums, and I'm not saying the later ones are good, but the first 2 are pretty strong.
Well, we're gonna be the judge
So
of that.
yeah, sure. But I've got like a kind of special edition release that they
Whoa,
re-released.
whoa, no spoilers.
Okay, I'll cut it off right there. You gotta listen to the episode to find out. But
And
that's
then
my pick.
for our topic or guest, you're gonna have to wait and see. We have a guest in mind, but we ain't telling you because what if it doesn't happen? That'll be awkward.
That's right. Yeah.
Jamie's eyeballing me. He's itching. Don't
Thanks
do
for
it.
Thanks for listening to this first year. We got better.
We sure did.
Yeah.
If you could say one thing about our podcast, it's that it's the #1 record podcast in the Greater Vancouver area, and we got better.
Yeah. We like to have fun around here,
Yeah, it's fun
Well,
to laugh, but not at
This is a
people.
job.
or with.
This is a paycheck. Speaking of, thanks to our sponsor.
Nobody.
So feel free to check out vinylver.com. Eventually, we will redirect to something other than our anchor
It's
page.
gonna be full of banner ads, so we can make some money. On this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the whole website.
Buy all the merch. We sell our own records now with our picks.
Oh, Anthony Fantano.
Yeah, first guest of the season.
Anthony Fantano, first guest. You heard here first.
So thank you so much for listening. We can't wait to see you in the next season. We're gonna take a short break. Be back in August. So stay tuned. Follow us on Twitter for more updates.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
See you later.
Bye.